And it's Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services Talking Business, our series of interviews with professionals in the area of digital marketing, direct marketing, insurance, customer service, banking, and have a chance to talk with Robin Colner today, who is the president of Digistar Media, based in Harrison, New York, also a professor at Fordham University, and just has an article out on marketing in the current COVID-19 situation. Robin, how are you today?
Great, thank you so much, and I hope everybody that's listening as well.
Absolutely, and Robin, it's been I guess we're getting used to the new normal. We're about I know for me 3 weeks working at home, and there's maybe some optimism that in the next month or so that there may be some improvement, some opportunities for business to open up again. What are you working with your clients on? What's some of the key advice that you have for your clients?
A lot of it has to do with the communication tone and the new focus on building community, collaboration, and authenticity, really, in how communications are going. So we're not hardcore selling. We're coming up with creative ways of not only reaching out to customers, finding out how they are, caring about what they are, thinking about what they need, not necessarily what we need, so that we leave them with the feeling that we're there for them, we're partners with them, meaning the businesses and clients and customers, and that when the time comes and it's appropriate, they'll think highly and more highly of that particular business. So that's really takes a bit of a phased approach to communication. What I tell people is it's important to reach out, if you can, on a personal level, meaning an individual phone call, an individual email, an individual Facebook message, and or a Facebook video that is highly personalized, one-to-one. Then the next level would be to use an email marketing list and make that communication extremely personal, checking on people first. It's a people-centric world. Once you know that there is that particular person, their colleagues, their family, has a degree of safety involved and perhaps is not struggling with some kind of a sickness, then you can follow up with, let me explain what we're doing differently now. And that new normal is the different way of operating. So of course you're going to talk about who to reach out to if you need help. But really the message is, we're there to help you, we're reachable. And then you give the specifics of how you're reachable. The third level of communication is really, what are you doing differently? And that gives an opportunity to reach out again because you have some news. And that news, again, is structured for the customer client. So that news could be, it's a very simple answer, is when a local market is offering curbside delivery or curbside pickup, we'll call it. When a restaurant is offering takeout. When a clothing store will be able to help you find gifts for the upcoming holidays. Those kinds of things. What are we doing different? And you mentioned about hopefully getting to that time of reopening. The reopening is going to have a lot to do with how people are expressing how they keep their facilities sanitized, how to be able to reach them more online first so that the personal interaction is limited, because we're still going to have a number of weeks and months where that's going to be an issue, where people do not want to congregate for long periods of time and get close to other individuals, unfortunately.
I think that's going to be a consideration in, let's say, the sports business and concerts, that it's going to be it's going to be a later phase, I think, when you can have big crowds at events. And it's going to be something to see what it takes to get people comfortable again to go to baseball games again or football games this fall. And so we'll see what happens with that. You've been doing a lot of work. We always see you at the events of the Business Council of Westchester. We talked to John Rabbits last week, who's their executive vice president. Any advice for small businesses in particular? We see a lot of businesses struggling, some being able to continue service restaurants through pickup, and some retail by also being able to do e-commerce or pickups at the door. what's some of the advice you have for some of the small to mid-sized companies so that they can maintain some type of operation?
So a lot of them are operating by doing good for other people, having a percentage of their sales actually be donated. So you saw that model with the direct-to-consumer brands, the Warby Parkers of the world and the Allbirds. Now everybody is beginning to adopt that. And one of the reasons for that, for example, a local store in the Westchester, Fairfield County area, they have branches, is donating a percentage of all sales to Meals on Wheels. Another store, and that, by the way, is a perfect communication to be sent both on social media as well as email, which is a soft, gentle reminder that if someone does feel comfortable purchasing in this environment, and we have holidays coming up, we have Mother's Day, we have graduations coming up, it's in births, things of that sort, we still need to purchase things. And so it's a soft way of saying, not only do we have merchandise to sell, but we care about you, as opposed to saying, friends and family discount, 20% off, 30% off. So that collaboration is something that I'm stressing a lot. I'm going to be talking to the Business Council of Westchester on Wednesday, to their small business council, all about how one business can help another business in town. So for example, if you don't have the resources to donate, both financially as well as actual material, you can call up a local restaurant in your town and arrange to send meals to the hospital. So that's, and talk about that. One of my clients manufactures textiles, and the textiles are gorgeous materials that are not leather, but they're like leather. So things that you might find in a Mercedes-Benz car, for example, or an airline seat. And they are actually looking for partners to manufacture protective clothing using some donations that they have. So there's ways to get involved in that. We care about the community and then talk about it, regardless of the size business you are.
Very good. Certainly, strategic communications for larger companies is very important. As someone said to me, as soon as the COVID-19 virus became a matter that was closing events and closing restaurants and closing schools, advertising communication had to stop on a dime and start reacting to the new situation that everyone is confronted with. What are some of the keys you found in kind of for larger companies in maintaining their communications with customers and, as some say, all of their stakeholders?
So email marketing is very important. Putting additions onto your website with new information. There are banners. Many website designers are offering these services at low or no cost to be able to add this information to a website. Resource tabs, for example, ongoing webinars and Zoom conferences, where that particular thought leader can add to the understanding level of what everybody is looking for in terms of resources, whether it's how to clean something more effectively, how to stay sane in this area, how to help your children learn, and of course, all of the various different SBA lending programs. And so if a particular company has an expertise and can shed that expertise on, and share that, there are all kinds of ways to do that. And one of those other ways is that when you offer this kind of content in the form of an article, a checklist, a podcast interview, a webinar, collect that email address on the way in so that you can have another way of communicating directly going forward.
And Robin, you've got a nice article out on your website and on LinkedIn, how businesses can continue marketing during the COVID-19 pandemic. And you've got 4 or 5 great ideas for businesses. You mentioned a couple of them already, but why don't you take us down some of the key points in your article you just published?
Yeah, so one of the things that is important is once you've determined that it's okay to talk to somebody and that you can give the help that you want, then you can start thinking of some creative solutions of how to do business. And I think everybody is actually recognizing that they can do more online, whether it's distributing online, selling online, collaborating with other people in their community, and also showcasing their employees. This is the time that if someone is on your team and has a creative idea of just maybe even how to educate their kids at home, and if it doesn't even have to do with their business, if they're an accountant, if they're in the payment processing world, if they're bank, okay? But it is sharing a human interest story. And so many people are are anxious for those stories. If you notice, even in the news broadcast, we can only listen to those press briefings so long. And now we want to have the human interest side. And the more that a business can humanize its approach to communicating during this period of time, the more the customers and clients are going to respect them. And certainly there are those that are on the front lines, whether it's the hospital environment or banks, for example, that are now processing the SBA loans. And there's going to be a lot of frustration associated with them. So the more that there can be a proactive training of the people that are interacting with you, whether it's the online forms that you have to submit for these particular purposes, or the individuals on the front line at the banks who can help the customers feel that they're in it for them and that they're not actually a problem to them or a frustration. We're all frustrated together. And that's something that people need to be transparent about in business.
Yeah, we talked to a bank around Long Island, Kevin O'Connor of B&B Bank, and what they went through, they put a 150-person team together to process the the payroll protection loans, and they got it done in about a week, being able to set up a process and for 2,000 customers. So that's quite an effort that banks are being asked to make in a matter of days and weeks, something that they probably would have liked 6 months to a year to set up. So quite
right.
a challenge for them.
And it's really learning as you go, because there's, the SBA had certain regulations in place and certain protocols to be able to ensure that the banks followed their rules and regulations, and a lot of those were relaxed, and the banks didn't know about that. And so that anytime that information, and I've seen a lot of bank websites where it just says for COVID-19, for PPE, press here, as opposed to telling that story. Tell the story. In 3 days, we were able to put together 2,000 of our lending team officers who were not affected by, sickness, X, Y, Z. Tell that story. Show their faces. Make it, we're in it to partner with you. We're not trying to hurt you. And even explain what some of the frustrations are so that individuals cannot take it out on them. We're all looking to get angry at somebody because we can't, okay? And so, that they can't kick the dog, okay? Because we're holed up at home with our dogs. And so we need to find a scapegoat for that and that anger. And you want that financial institution to be the one that looks like they're doing the hero work that they really are doing, as opposed to being someplace that we can vent our anger.
Hey, Robin, you're an expert in online education as an adjunct professor at Fordham, teaching digital marketing programs. And tell us a little bit about what are the keys that you're going over with your students in that class, and also what makes online education work. So many high schools and colleges have had to shift online, going to different video conferencing capability. What makes online education work in your perspective?
So online education has become very popular, as you can imagine, not only during this time frame, but leading up to this time frame. And in fact, one of the challenges of online education is to not only keep the student engaged, which a teacher, having been a teacher for a decade or more, it's very easy to do when you're in front of them. You look in their eyes, you can walk around the classroom, and you can re-engage with all kinds of interpersonal body language. We can't do that as easily online. So it's nice that Zoom allows us to see who's looking down on their phone, who might be not paying attention, but it's very challenging for the instructor and the educator to then re-engage a whole group at the same time. So one of the important aspects is to augment online education with resources, readings that people have to do, students at all levels, interactive games, experiments, things that can be done at home with both the parents, if you're talking about preschool education or secondary education, and certainly for colleges and graduate programs. There needs to be additional materials, and the students need to be responsible for doing it. The other really interesting challenge, and a lot of the technology is helping address that, is to create breakout rooms, places for groups, smaller groups of people to interact. When it's a large group, people are less likely, because of the delay in listening on a microphone, et cetera. If you have a larger group in a Zoom environment or a WebEx environment, then if you have a smaller group, it's easier for people to actually interact and speak to each other. And so that is something that's very important in that environment. I mean, we're excited at Fordham because we were able within 24 hours to turn hundreds of classes into online classes. I know the program that I have run in person for 16 semesters in Westchester, and it has also expanded to the New York City Lincoln Center campus. We'll be offering classes in September online. And we're doing that because we know that there were so many people that came to those classes from the different areas of the tri-state region, even as far up as Albany. And not knowing what health environment is going to be available them and how comfortable people are going to be traveling away from work and home where they have certain sanitary protections in place, then we decided to make that move. And hopefully we'll be able to have more people join in on that. You also asked me, what are we stressing? So one of the things that businesses can focus on right now is how their website can work more effectively for them. What areas can you engage customers who visit you? How can you talk interactively with them as opposed to just having passive information for people to see there? How can you get more communication going on with mobile devices? Mobile messaging is going to be very, very prominent going forward in marketing. So one of the applications that are happening now, and certainly the financial services companies can implement them, is to have those messenger bots be able to say, we hear you, we know your frustration, especially in the application process, we are here for you, and Bob Smith is going to call you back, or XYZ. However personal that automated bot can be, will at least make someone feel that they're not, kind of communicating in a black, empty hole. So you're going to see a lot more work with messengers, and certainly the social channels are engaging in that as well. Facebook Messenger is becoming very prominent right now in terms of ways of businesses for interacting.
Certainly, trying to communicate with customers so important. However, you tend to have a customer list. Some businesses have a lot of phone numbers of people, right, of their customers, and that may be one way to reach out to remind them that they're open, or see if there's any way they can take care of the customer.
And that's going to be even more important as we move into what we call the transition to opening. And that transition to opening is not going to be seamless, and it's not going to be the same everywhere. So now we've got a whole level of new information that needs to be transferred to people, whether boutiques get to open versus barbershops versus banks versus, and certainly the financial services companies have, at one time, they actually called me. Some of my banks called me, but they called me at the very beginning. Now that I need them, they're not answering the phone and they're not in the branch, okay? So we were in the branch for a week or two, and then they were called home to say, no, I'm sorry, we can't be in the branch. When you get back, that's really important to be able to get that information out and communicate effectively.
Very good. Well, Robin Colner, the president of Digistar Media, based just down the road from us, actually, in Harrison, adjunct professor at Fordham. A final thought for our audience today?
I do. I have a final thought. One is that a lot of people ask me about social media. A lot of businesses have kind of been on autopilot with that. It's time to turn off that autopilot. Do not just send out content like you used to. Pull back on doing that. Figure out a way to be sensitive. Also, don't be funny. I mean, we are sharing jokes among each other, but only when we know we're comfortable. As a brand and a business, it's important not to do that. It's important to use the technology tools to be comforting to people. And I do want to share one more thought, is that we've actually included an online course for real estate agents specifically. They can get their continuing education credits. I'll be offering that. It's how real estate agents can leverage social media to grow their business. It's this April 29th and 30th, online. So if you go to, I can share the link, www.fordham.edu/PCS/digital. You will get this class. And so any real estate agent that wants to earn 8 continuing education credits, I'll be offering this class on April 29th and 30th, 4 hours each day, and you'll be able to master social media. So hopefully I'll see somebody.
That's great. Robin Colner, you are so high energy, and the classes you are offering at Fordham must be just terrific educational opportunities, and the work with the Business Council of Westchester and your clients all sounds terrific. We appreciate your time today. Talk with us on CBSI Talking Business, and our best wishes to you and all. Stay safe.
Have a wonderful, if not, perfect, it can be memorable holiday.
Absolutely, and best to you and your family. And this is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services Talking Business, representing our team at CBSI in Harrison, New York, serving 1,200 banks around the country with travel and merchandise protection programs, premium services, and always want to so proud of our team that has been taking care of many bank customers during this crisis period. So Robin, thank you again, and we'll talk soon. And
and Ken, don't forget, I don't mean to interrupt you, but don't forget to highlight that as your business on your social profiles, whether it's LinkedIn or in an art, some kind of an email to clients. Capture the information of the case studies and those happy customers. Okay.
Absolutely. We're working with our clients now on that. Really a lot of key travel situations where people's flights were canceled in middle to late March, and trying to get people home. And so our team really was working with our clients, our banks, very closely on that for a good period of time. And we're just looking forward to when the virus has gone away and we can open up and business opens up again. And that can't happen too soon. But Robin, thank you so much. And thank you again for your time today. It's great to talk with you as always.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. This is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services Talking Business from my home office in White Plains, New York. Have a great day and stay safe.